What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Well, and that's what I said to my ex too. Like, I love at such a deep level. Like, I'm trusting you with my heart as much as I trust myself to protect my own heart. You have the full capacity. I have just given you all of the power to absolutely obliterate and crush and stomp on my heart. If you want to, please don't.
Being in love is like giving somebody a gun and hoping they won't use it.
So a healthy individual needs love, but does a narcissist actually have the capacity to have that love regulating them or to feel it?
Welcome to the Neonarcissism podcast, hosted by emotional intelligence specialists Kim and Jackie of Element Q, alongside strategic psychotherapist Brad Kaufman.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Our topic today is something that Brad coined the phrase for, which is mood-based love.
When we look at the narcissist and the neo-narcissist and the way that they actually manage this experience of love, we can see that they are emotionally and relationally disabled. Mm-hmm. And if we really want to use a strong word here, we could say that they're emotionally and relationally crippled. And that may sound like a really harsh way to say it, but in a way, for the experience of what it actually is, it's like that is the language that fits best. Mm-hmm. So, and one way to really understand this is there's something called object permanence. So basically what it is in developmental psychology, a child at some point, right, if you hold up a toy and take the toy away, a young child's going to cry because it's like their toy is there and then their toy is gone. They have no idea that the toy still exists, right? Because emotionally and mentally, they cannot conceptualize that if they can't see it. So basically you see where I'm going with this. Yeah. Right. The narcissist, when they perceive, if you're having a mood and you aren't just gushing and pouring love onto them, it's like you just put this toy behind your back and they're like, it's gone. Mm-hmm. They don't have this concept that it's just, behind a cloud for a moment. And so literally that's how emotionally and relationally stunted they are. They just have no concept that love can exist apart from what they're seeing or experiencing in that moment.
I don't even know how to follow that up. That's such great information. I think hard information. I think for some people to really let in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so valuable. Wow, powerful.
So then the question I have to follow up on all of that, though, is narcissists, neo-narcissists, are they capable of having authentic emotions?
I would say they're capable of having authentic emotions. It's how truthful are the narratives or the beliefs that those emotions are based on. And so this is where I always say, always validate feelings and emotions. Always validate feelings and emotions. However, the narrative or the belief that those are based on, you don't want to just validate right up front. You want to look at that and go, how much is that actually based on the truth? Mm-hmm. So you get to question those narratives, those stories in their heads, leading them to do this polarized type thing. And this mood-based love starts to explain how they can love bomb you, and you can be in the best place ever, and the next moment it's like you're completely discarded. Because what happens is, like I'm talking about, this primary narrative of you as their loved one switches to this more negative one, and that's the only thing they're working with.
Yeah.
And if they've been narcissistically wounded at the level where they just aren't willing to risk it again, they'll basically lock this in place. They'll lock this negative narrative in place. And it's like that gives them full excuse to just walk away without a feeling of love for you. Now, the unfortunate thing for them is that over time, that what they've locked in can start to wear out a little bit. Because remember, when their mood starts to come down or their attitude towards you starts to come down to some degree, all of a sudden these truths of how wonderful of a person and how loving of a person you are and how great of supply you've been to them starts bubbling to the surface. So now they have to, this positive narrative can actually return to them. So now they have to shut it up. They have to escape it. And this is what explains the Hoovers. So they'll reach out to test where you're at because now they don't know, now they're dilemmaed. They don't know what narrative to tell themselves about you.
They need more evidence. So they need to possibly bait you again. Just engage in some way so that they can pull some fraction of evidence to create another story.
Bait and switch.
Yeah.
Well, the old bait and switch.
Right. And that's why they can love bomb you right out of the blue. You know, they can love bomb you. They'll discard you. And then out of the blue, if you were one of these high order levels of supply for them, out of the blue, they're going to see if that supply is available to them. And again, that's where the mood-based thing comes in. And when they say to you, you know, we're done. It's over. Okay. But they also said to you, you know, months or years prior to that, I love you. I will love you forever. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I can't believe how lucky I am. All of that type of stuff. And how long did that last for? So then when they go to this negative narrative, it's like, well, how long does that last for?
It's interesting because I mean, I know it's a hypothetical question, but I would suspect that that would last much longer for some, like for some neo-narcissists, right? Particularly if they lean towards wanting to be a victim or a hero, then that negative, there's negative goggles that they're putting on to see you. They're going to lean more into that.
Yeah. How much supply are they getting out of the negative, right? How much can they play the victim and pull that negative side and play that negative narrative to other people around them? And how much supply are they getting off of those people for doing so? Yeah. As soon as that wears out, I mean, because think about all of the, when things are in a good place, at least through a romantic lens, when things are at a good place, they leverage and they'll throw on social media all of this great stuff where they're getting this massive surge of supply off of social media. Not only the surge of supply about how great this love bombing experience is, this mood-based love is, but they get all of this external outside attention and supply coming in too.
So that would be a version of a narcissist trying to gain love bombing, trying to have other people love bomb them, in the sense of, it's not exactly the same as love bombing somebody within an intimate relationship, but wanting sort of all of that praise and all of that envy or jealousy is a way for them to get their own version of love bombing feed. Potentially?
So, yeah.
Curious.
Are you talking about off of
social media?
Right. Almost like the social media becomes a type of love bomb. The more likes they get, that's like a love bomb for the narcissist. Totally. Oh yeah. That's a total feed.
Because it's not, they're not relying on one other single person to do all these grand gestures that they may and are capable of doing, but to post it on social, that is a version of them receiving love bombing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because of the praise and the...
If they know a person and they've made a comment about like, oh, you're so lucky, right? And this narcissist may know that person maybe has a more difficult relationship than that. Oh, that's fantastic then, right? Because look at how good my relationship is in comparison. And I've made somebody a little jealous. I've poked a little bit of a sore spot for them.
Or imagine if someone with like 50,000 followers made a comment on their post.
Yeah, it's huge. And that's where I was going with it too. Those of higher status, if they can get praise off of somebody with such high status in the social sphere, it's like, oh man, it's just like massive feed. But the thing is, if they don't, it has the opposite effect too. if they don't get the amount of likes that they might have been expecting for a certain post, you can see their mood just plummet and crash. And their love for you along with it.
So I'm going to circle back. So a healthy individual needs love, but does a narcissist actually have the capacity to have that love regulating them, or to feel it?
So yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah.
In a way, really what the narcissist has done is they've removed themselves from the risk of love. So this is what I call the paradox of love. Love has both the capacity to heal and to hurt. So it's both the problem and the solution. And this is why you will see people, especially in narcissism or borderline personality disorder, this push-pull. And you end up in orbital space around them because they don't, if you're too close, it feels too dangerous. At some point, they're going to get hurt, right? Love is going to hurt them in some way. So they disconnect from it and push you out. But the thing is, you can't drift too far away because they still want to have access to that. So the thing they want the most is the scariest thing to them. So the thing they need the most is the most scary thing to them. So then to answer your question, are they able to experience real love? Is that kind of what it is? They have removed themselves from the permanence or the ability to actually live within this enduring, I hope I've been saying enduring and not endearing. I mean, they're both qualities, but anyway, like enduring love. They literally disconnect themselves from enduring love, right? Because these other loves are more safe. The playful love, like the ludus love, that's more safe. The eros love is more safe. Yeah. You know, the feeling of love is more safe. They tend to cycle through those. But what they really do want the pragma love. That's what their desire, their deeper longing is actually for. But it's just too risky.
Interesting. I'm just getting all these flashes of like where our society is at right now, is that culturally everybody is terrified of that pragma love. And everybody's running away from it, and if everybody would just embrace it, things would be very different.
Exactly.
But that, like you said earlier, is God's love. I mean, I think that ultimately is what we're all looking for, but we're all terrified of losing it. So then it's like everybody's just shut the door to it.
Yeah, I think it is that potential pain of the loss of it.
Yes.
Right? That's fearful. That makes people not want to risk. I remember, I think it was in grade 4. Maybe that's a bit young. 4 or 5. It was elementary school. And I can't remember what report. I was writing a report on something and I came across this quote. And so I started the whole report with this quote and it still stuck. It was really impactful when I read it. Read what you want into why that was impactful at such a young age. But I feel like I'm going to really just show a lot right now. But it read, being in love is like giving somebody a gun and hoping they won't use it.
Ooh.
Wow.
You were writing a paper with that?
I don't even remember what I was writing. I know. I was actually really curious. I wish I had all my homework still. But
wow. That is really powerful. So love is like giving somebody a gun and hoping they don't use it. Is that how you said it?
So to me, like, it's interesting when you say that. To me, what I get from that is it's like at any point in time, if they use it, they can just blow you up with everything and hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I said to my ex too. Like I love at such a deep level. Like I'm trusting you with my heart as much as I trust myself to protect my own heart. You have the full capacity. I have just given you all of the power to absolutely obliterate and crush and stomp on my heart. If you want to, please don't. It is an extremely vulnerable place because we really are. And actually some traditional marriage vows actually say this. I trust you with my heart. And basically what they're saying is I trust you to protect my heart as well as I can protect it myself. And this is where the true experience of love in a healthy relationship flourishes when each other trusts the other person with that depth and vulnerability of their heart.
Yeah, I would say though, as vulnerable as that might feel or sound to people, what's the point if you're not doing that? It's still worth it. You will survive the pain of it, right? If it does end.
Well, and I think that's a very important comment, and we'll have to do a whole other talk on that, is you can survive the pain of that. You can survive the pain. This is where I say your heart can be absolutely crushed, but it is not destroyed. And so to survive the pain of it, those that have just been discarded, it's so extremely painful, and it takes all of your emotional, spiritual, mental, relational attention, and it feels like you're going to be stuck in it forever. And it's like you will feel like nobody has ever felt like this. Nobody else on the planet has ever felt like this ever before. Because potentially you've never felt that way before, and it's just completely all-consuming, overwhelming, because again, if you really tapped into that true depth of unconditional, eternal, and infinite love, then it's so much larger than what your finite self is. So you opened yourself up to the infinite, you fell into the infinite, and when you experience that type of fracture, especially with a narcissist when they discard you, yes, this is very strong language, but it's like your soul has been raped. It's like the sacred has been stolen. The sacred has been violated. And so that infinite space that you're in overwhelms you emotionally because of your finiteness, your limits. And so that's what happens when you risk falling into the infinite. But like you're saying, is it worth it not to? And for a lot of people, this is why they just cycle through relationships and they try to stay in those positive feels. This is where they want to stay in the Eros type framework, where it's just infatuation, honeymoon period.
And stay on the surface.
And this is why it's mood-based. Let's just keep that mood in that heightened state. Let's not go to that deeper place, because as they cycle through that quickly, they don't go to the depth that they're truly longing for. And so they still feel like they're missing something.
We talked about it earlier, but just to cycle back, just because a narcissist has discarded you doesn't mean that needs to control how much you still love them going forward. You may choose not to be in a relationship with them, but you can still love them. That's your choice, and you get to decide how that emotion flows out of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So whether you're getting a return on that love or you aren't, you still, and yeah, this is something that I had to coach myself on a regular basis, was you're still allowed to let it flow out of you at that infinite level, even though there isn't this person to bestow it onto. They stripped you of the joy of being able to bestow it on them, but at the same time, it's just permission to just keep loving. And this is where the challenge comes in, because this person who has hurt you so deep, I liken it to, you want to run up and give them a hug and embrace them and love them to the ends of the earth and beyond. And you want to scream in their face at the exact same time. It's just such a tearing experience, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really accurate expression of that, though. And I do, in terms of the pain of losing that love or not having it reciprocated, not having a place for it to really be able to live and stand, it's not, people survive that. We will survive that. But it's about more than surviving. I think on the other side of that, you can really thrive, right? So it's not just about surviving, right? Yeah. It's not simply about surviving it, getting through it, because it feels like sort of the minimum. You will get through it. You will survive it. But stepping out of that unhealthy relationship, there is such an opportunity to thrive. So I think that needs to be also said to our listeners there.
And there is a way to do that. Now, unfortunately, of course, we can only put out these podcasts at a certain pace. We just want to open the door to let people know that we do personal coaching as well. So for personal coaching, if you find yourself in this type of situation, we're definitely here to help walk you through that. So you can reach out to us through our website and we can look at setting up some one-to-one direct coaching with you. You don't have to be alone in this. There's definitely a path through, but it definitely is helpful to have somebody walk alongside you to
100%.
get through it. Right. Even as a therapist, I relied very heavily on my own therapy as well as well-informed friends and loved ones. So,
Yeah, you're not alone. Yeah, we can do this.
So that is mood-based love. And if you have any questions, any comments, please let us know, of course. And you don't know how to deal with something until you know what you're dealing with. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you have any comments, please leave them below.
And remember to subscribe to our podcast channel and YouTube channel and share these videos with your friends and family.
And please join our online community at neonarcissism.tv.
What is love?